Hi guys! So I heard you have tight hips. Don't stress it. I'm going to walk you through some poses I like to do when my hips are feeling tight. Super important to remember that there is supposed to be no pain in any of these stretches. Uncomfortable? Yes, but no pain. Alright, let's get started into cow face pose. Definitely going to take some maneuvering to get into. Going to stack your knees on top of each other, keeping your feet flexed to protect those knees. If your hips are feeling juicy and ambitious, you're going to place your heels farther from your hips. The farther your heels are from your hips, the more intense the stretch will be. I opted to go for the bind by clasping my hands together behind my back, but you can do whatever feels best for your arms. Alright, let's release the bind if we have one, and adding some spinal twists with a nice long spine, paired with some nice deep breaths. We love it. And on to maneuvering into the next side. Again, remembering to keep my feet flexed. We love healthy knees. And taking the bind if you did that on the other side. And now just breathe. We're having fun. We're opening our hips. Do we feel a little uncomfortable? Yes. But we gotta put in the work to open up those hips. Moving on to those spinal twists if you did them on the other side. Who doesn't love a 2-for-1, opening our hips and stretching our spine? Alright, we're going to move on, adding some windshield wipers to wipe the slate clean, get out any kinks from that last pose, and move on to the next pose. Now, this next pose is called fire logs. We say that because it's like we're stacking our shins like two cute little fire logs. Bringing your heel to your opposite knee. Your other heel is aligned with your other knee. It really is like stacking two fire logs on top of each other. And remember what I said in the last pose about keeping your feet flexed to protect your knees. We're going to do the same thing here. If you're wondering why I have an RBF, it's because personally, I struggle with this pose. I do not have super open hips. I've always had to work for my hip flexibility and mobility. So fire log pose is very intense for me. Walking your hands out is going to increase the stretch. That's why I can only walk my hands out a couple inches, and that's okay. Everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to look different. Do what feels best to you and your body and your hips. Alright, now stacking our fire logs on the other side now. Remember, my spine is nice and long. Deep breaths, thinking happy thoughts. Let's come together and take a few deep breaths together to get through the remainder of this pose. Inhale with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Reaching our arms up over our heads and opting for folding forward if you did so on the other side. Remembering that it's going to intensify the stretch, but remember to not push the body to the point of pain. Alright, now let's move on from that pose. I'm happy to get out of that. Give yourself a hug and wrap up in a little ball if you want to. Okay, one of my favorite poses, butterfly pose. We're going to bring the soles of our feet to touch. I like to grab my feet like I'm opening a cute tiny little book. It gives me some leverage when I'm folding forward. I'm able to fold farther, and also allows me to dig my elbows into my inner thighs, stretching my hips down even farther. You can choose to stay upright, or you can choose to fold forward. I did 2 forward folds, one with a straight and elongated spine, and one with a bent over curled spine. They'll offer different sensations. Something to try if you're feeling it. Adding the spinal twists if you're feeling up for it. And we did it, guys. On to our last pose, Yogi squat or Malasana. Taking your feet as wide as your mat and putting your hands into heart center. Or if you want, you can choose to play around with the bind. I hope your hips are feeling a little more free, a little less tight. Your hips and your body are thanking you for taking 5 minutes to stretch them. Okay, and I lied. One last pose, coming into a wide leg child's pose. Stay here as long as you'd like. Bye!